Hello, everyone. It's Fred Staub and Les Jackson. We are glad to be along with you. We've got a lot to get to, including a Kia Trio. Kia revealing
Yeah.
a lot of new vehicles, right, Les?
As always, Kia and Hyundai always have surprises in the bag.
Yeah, they sure do, and we're excited about that. And also, we're going to talk about Cadillac stopping production on two of its models, which, well, guess what? It's due to chips.
Well, yes, and as you know, I've been studying the chip shortage history, um, and we may get a chance to talk about that. Lincoln, by the way, is going to bring back, or at least they say they might bring back, which means they will, the Zephyr name.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. It is
Mhm.
a sedan, so it's probably not coming to the U.S., right?
Probably not.
We don't get sedans. Yeah, so interesting stuff, Les Jackson, and we'll have plenty more of that on cruise control. Plus, we're going to talk about the incredible GT-500. I had a chance to drive it a while back, and we're going to learn all about that from Jim Owens, who is the
Yeah.
Mustang marketing manager. They had some great displays at this event. Look at that. You can really get a idea for what's going on underneath the car. So we're going to talk about that and more on cruise control. So stay tuned. And welcome to Cruise Control, your on air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. I'm Fred Staub, and the other voice you're about to hear is none other than Les Jackson. How you doing, Les?
Yes, indeed, and very good. How are you, Fred, on this fine semi-hot day?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm ready to get going with plenty of information about the automotive industry, new models, all kinds of things happening, Les. And we're
Yep.
going to get started on cruise control with a Kia Trio. Kia America releases pricing on its 2020 Sorento and details on the Niro Hybrid and Niro Hybrid plug-in.
Yep, they're coming fast and furious now. Gee, they ought to name a movie franchise after that.
Hey, maybe Vin Diesel would be available.
He's my hero.
Oh, boy.
Sort of. Anyway, Cadillac has stopped or is stopping production of 2 of its models. And why do I think they're not SUVs?
Yeah, and why do I think it might be due to the chip shortage? You have a name for it, don't you?
Chipageddon.
And we're not talking chocolate chips here. We are
Not
talking
at all. This is
yeah.
a bad thing. Perfect storm of mistakes.
Yep, we'll talk about that. And could Lincoln be bringing back a vehicle with a name from its past? This is one of the first vehicles ever built by Lincoln. The Lincoln Zephyr. Is that coming back?
Yep, I love the name. Always have. It's just such a good car name. And a new AAA study says the price of owning a vehicle is going up and up. You know, they do this every year or two.
Yeah, they sure do.
And it's surprising what it actually costs.
Yep, it is. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk some horsepower, Les? We've got some horsepower. At 760 horsepower, it's the most powerful street-legal car Ford has ever built. Yes, it is none other than the incredible Shelby GT-500. I had a chance to drive it a while back, and we wanted to hear about that, some of the tech behind it. There's incredible tech. So Jim Owens, Mustang marketing manager, will join us with the latest news from Mustang, including the just released white editions. Do you remember the white edition? It was an ice white edition.
Yeah.
It was back in 1993, and they brought it back. Mustang is all about special editions, isn't it?
Well, and Mustang, one of the very few cars in history, has maintained that legacy.
Yeah, sure has, and they're proud to celebrate that legacy. They're going to celebrate it, and Jim will be by a little bit later on to help us with all the details, and there's plenty of them. So stay tuned to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. We will be right back.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Les, he's Fred, and if you heard us at the beginning, you'll know that we're going to tell you about the new Kia Triumvirate. How's that?
Yeah, there's a lot of them going on,
Oh,
Les,
yeah.
including a couple of different versions of the Nero. And then we've got some pricing on the new 2020 Sorento. So a lot to get to from the folks at Kia. They're always
Yeah.
doing something interesting. And I guess we'll start with Kia Sorento pricing. How does that sound?
Well, that's right, because Sorento is pretty popular, in fact, very popular. It's a SUV, which, why did I even need to mention that?
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's a really good value. It's very well received. We've both driven them,
Yep.
and no complaints. It is what Kia does, which is give you value for the money. Now the money isn't too bad either for the base Sorento. It's $29,490, which is these days fairly reasonable price.
Yeah, I would agree. When a lot of people roll into the dealerships, they get a little bit, well, how should I say, surprised. And this is
Yeah.
pretty good.
Well, that's right. People coming into a dealership, if they haven't been in the dealership for 10 or 11 years, it's a rude awakening.
Yeah. Then
But
then
go
then
ahead.
it steps up. They have the S front wheel drive.
Right?
They have the X line, which is a really nice model. The X line EX all wheel drive at $39,090. And what's interesting here on the Sorento is they have put a lot of the Telluride into it, the Telluride being their larger SUV, because
hmm
let's face it, that thing sells like hotcakes, doesn't it?
Well, what is it? There's something like 40 left in the country.
Yeah, something something like that, and people just want them, and they're lining up for it. So you can move on up, and you can get a hybrid version of this in all-wheel drive for
hmm
$35,790, and then there's going to be a plug-in hybrid version of this. By the way, I'm driving the plug-in hybrid version of the Jeep Wrangler, and it's pretty cool. I'm a fan of plug-in hybrids. How about you?
Me too. They're very practical. They're not really very expensive over regular hybrid.
Yeah.
And it's something that if you live in an urban area, pays for itself.
And the engine choices are a 2.5 liter 4 at 191 horsepower, or the 1.6 liter 4-cylinder turbo in the hybrid at 227 horsepower, or in the plug-in hybrid, it's going to put out 261 horsepower, and it all goes through a 6-speed transmission. Now let's look over at another vehicle from Kia, and that is they announced a couple of different models this week. The Nero Hybrid. Now remember, the Nero's smaller than the Sorento, and it is not available in all-wheel drive. I remember going on the launch of this vehicle, and they just said it's not really ever going to get all-wheel drive. But it is what I would say is a very straightforward styled vehicle. Nice
Yep.
size. It is front-wheel drive. Kind of a clean design on the outside. And it is got a few new things for 2022. New Kia badging. And that's, of course, going across the Kia lineup. New front grille, tailgate, steering wheel hub, wheel center caps. And it gets an estimated, this hybrid model, 50 miles to the gallon, and offers
That's impressive.
very impressive, and offers more than 63 cubic feet of cargo space, and a long list of standard Kia drive-wise features. Now, the LX starts at $24,690,
Mm-hmm.
which is a deal today. The LXS 2690, $90 seems like a big thing for the folks over at Kia.
Well, that's for the floor mats.
Yeah, and then it tops out with the EX Premium at $31,990. Once again, this carries the 1.6-liter engine. This time in this configuration, 139 horsepower is the total number, and it has a 1.56 lithium-ion polymer hybrid battery. So a lot of standard features and also some great mileage as well. Then they're also talking about the Nero hybrid plug-in, and that gets 26 miles of all-electric range on a single charge. You still get a $4,543 federal tax credit. Who knows how they figured that number out? That's a weird number. And there's 3 trim levels: an LXS at $29,590, an EX at $33,390, and an EX Premium at $36,490. Pretty cool stuff. 46 mile per gallon and 26 mile range for all electric. So there you have it, the Kia Trio. Plenty of vehicles coming from Kia, and we will tell you all about them on Cruise Control. Stay tuned. We're just getting started. I'm Fred Staub. He's Les Jackson. We'll see you down the road.
Some of the tough
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staub. He is Les Jackson. And we are glad you're along for the ride. Don't forget to check us out at cruisecontrolradio.com, where you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. It's all there. Hey, Les, you have been doing some research on the origins of the chip shortage. And what have you found? You've been studying this.
Yeah. Well, you know, of course, there are many, many factors contributing to it, but the two big ones started in 2019, and that was the very rapid push all over the world of G5.
G5, you mean the G5? You're talking?
Yeah, yes, for cell phone.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
5G.
that 5G, well,
G5. G5
my,
would
I, st-
G5
I,
would have
st-
been an old Pontiac, I believe.
I still have a 1G phone. No, no. But anyway,
You have the
that
hand cranked phone.
that's right. That uh, caused a huge um, demand for new chips for phone production, and of course, they produce billions of phones every year. And then combined with that was the U.S. sanctions against any of our companies selling chips to the Huawei or Huawei, however you pronounce that company in China,
Uh-huh.
which was accused of all sorts of financial dealings, illegal. So what that did was create a big backlog, like shutting off the valve in a pipeline.
Right.
And just as combined with all that, the chip companies were trying heavily to look into making larger substrates, the discs, the silicon discs that they print with ultraviolet lasers, print the circuits, and then make chips, many, many chips on these. And they weren't able to bring in the bigger substrates, so they're still working on the old ones, the 4-inch,
Okay.
limiting production. So then the COVID hits, which we all know just caused trouble everywhere. And strangely enough, through all of this, the auto companies were the last ones that saw it coming and started
Wow.
to put in orders.
Wow.
So they were at the back of the line.
Wow.
I mean, I don't know well, it's the whole industry is at fault.
Yeah.
None of the soothsayers at the car companies said, "Oh, hey, we better wake up. Look at this." They just didn't see it coming. So that's where we are. And the sad thing is, it's going to take all of next year to catch up
Wow.
the pipeline, which means this isn't going to be fixed until early 2023.
Well, you think about what's happening now. Here's a story about Cadillac. They are shutting down production of the CT4 and CT5, two great sedans. And what's it due to? It's due to shortages and
Chips.
Yeah, I mean this is accelerating the demise of the sedans. Now these sedans are not going away; they're brand new designs, but the fact that they're not going to promote or really push the building of sedans if they're going to make less money with them, and they can't get the parts if the chips will go to the high profit SUVs.
It has to, and it's a business. You're in business to make money and keep people employed. So what else can you do?
Yeah, it's very hard for them to do something about this, and we see it all over the place. I mean, even the pickup trucks, the high profit pickup trucks, are being built without certain features so they can get them out the door, and they give you a $50 break or whatever if you don't have any kind of stop start or things like that. So it sounds like this trend is going to continue for a while, doesn't it?
We have at least another year of it. Nothing we can do.
Now, also, you and I talk about this all the time on Cruise Control. People that have not been in a showroom for a long time walk into the showroom and they are shocked at what they find, the cost of vehicles, and of course now the lack of availability. But let's look at this study. It comes from the AAA, shows the total cost of new car ownership went up again in 2021. The average price of a new car keeps going up, but the out-of-pocket costs do as well. For 2021, AAA says the number for your vehicle for 1 year, including payments, insurance, maintenance, licensing, depreciation, finance charges, on average, is $9,666.
Yep.
And that's up from 2020, where that number came in around $9,500. Um, everything's going up. We're in inflation now, so we're going to be seeing more of this going up. What I find interesting about insurance, does it go up or down, especially if people are driving less, but some people are driving over their heads?
It goes down if you, every year, when you fill out whatever paperwork your insurance company gives you, they always provide you to be able to put an update to your driving habits. And we just did this for my wife's car because she's driving like 200 miles a year.
Wow.
So what, instead of 3,000. So what did that do to the insurance? It dropped our insurance by $70.
All right. Well, that's something.
Hey,
$70.
$70.
Yeah, you can buy a couple of nice keychains for that.
Yeah. But the point is, it does affect your insurance. And, if you move and you're closer to work, if you're in a lower crash
Zone.
data area,
right?
You've got to let the insurance company know, because your rates can be reduced.
Now, here's an interesting number. They break it down for pickup truck owners. Full-size pickup trucks are the most expensive to own overall. They come in at 77.25 cents per mile. And the cheapest new car to own, which people aren't buying, is a small sedan, which will cost you 48.20 cents per mile. Electric cars are actually more expensive at 61.96 cents per mile, despite having lower maintenance costs.
Well, because they're more expensive up front.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but of course the small car, you can't get one. So you're not going to save much money if you can't find a small sedan.
Yeah, I actually have had friends go in to buy them, and they're told don't buy them because nobody will want them when you're done with them. What do you think of that?
That's silly.
Or is that just the dealer saying that so they can get more profit on a more profitable SUV?
The dealer. That's just the dealer.
They don't have it.
Yeah.
They just don't have it, and they don't want to
Either
bother
way,
getting.
yeah.
It's like, hey, why don't you buy something that I got on the lot, right? So
yeah.
But big surprise to people. I think they probably go in and they probably think that these prices are way different, and they are just shocked by it.
It is. I mean, it is very shocking to see what vehicles cost, especially middle of the road and higher end.
Yeah. Exactly. So, hey, when we come back, we're going to talk some serious horsepower from the folks over at Ford. So stay tuned to Cruise Control. We are just getting started. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Hello, everyone. I'm Fred Staub, and we are going to see Les Jackson in a minute. We've been joined by Jim Owens, who is Mustang marketing marketing guy. He's not the manufacturer, although I guess he could build one of these cars. But I had a good time. I had a good time, Jim. A couple of months ago, got to drive the Shelby GT-500, and it's 760 horsepower of fun.
It is an unbelievable vehicle. And, you know, Carroll hasn't been with us for a while, but I know deep down he's looking over us and enjoying the fact that from Ford Motor Company and Shelby, we're delivering a Shelby GT-500 that can go from 0 to 100 to 0 on the deck of an aircraft carrier.
It's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. Hey. You put on a great display of all the great things that go into this vehicle. And let me say, one of the cool things about it is the fact that it can be driven on the street, it can be taken to a drag strip, and it can be taken to a road course. So I feel this is a value proposition here, Jim.
It really is, and you know, it's not inexpensive, right? I mean, I wouldn't go and say that, but the hallmarks of what Carroll wanted to do and the Ford team wanted to do was, you know, from the early 60s, democratize performance. So let the people be able to enjoy the stuff that was developed for the racetrack on the street in a safe manner, obviously. So it is a relative performance value that can beat an awful lot of cars that are 2 and 3 times its price.
Yeah, and you told me a story about you had an event and somebody who had never been at a drag strip, I don't know whether they were a journalist or a Mustang owner or somebody, you had a drag strip that day, and what happened?
So it was unbelievable. It was, and I won't say her name, but she was a journalist. She had not been she was more in the collector classic car realm and not the performance ones. And, you know, we're saying it's the fastest quarter-mile Mustang and car that we've done, and capable in the mid-10s or high 10s. She ran a 10.82 first time out.
Wow.
That was at Las Vegas. So, you know, the altitude, temperature, you know, all the stuff that factors into a drag race time. She walks in there. We teach her how to use the line lock to warm up the tires, the launch control to start, and then that 760 horsepower going through once the tree turns green literally allowed her to run a 10.82. It was unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
And that is a pretty good number. My gosh, that's like a super stock number almost.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, back in the day, the GT500s, you know, that the 68 version, for example, even with the Cobra Jet motor in there, was in the 13s, you know, in the 14s, maybe if you tweaked and tuned it. And now literally off of your Ford dealership showroom, putting it in drag mode, not even changing the drag specs, because we do have a set of drag specs and we have a set of road course specs that you can change the car to if you really wanted to. Literally running in sub 11-second quarter miles and, you know, 0 to 60 in the mid 3s.
That is crazy.
Yeah, but this is, well, it's also, you know, it's something that's repeatable because now the reliability of these isn't affected. In the old days, and believe me, I was there and I knew how to blow up an engine with the best of them. Valves float and all sorts of nasty things happen. If you dragged, you know, even street drags, which here in Washington, the road next to the Pentagon legally couldn't be patrolled by anyone. So, and we all knew that. So at night, that's where people drag raced. And, you know, you do that a dozen times, you're going to blow the engine up or the rear end or the transmission. And this, you know, is built to just do it.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The engineering technology and, you know, the passion of the performance engineers over time have been able to develop that technology. You know, if you look, the 68 version. And one of the things I love to show on there, the outside diameter of the rotor on the 2020 is larger than the inside diameter of the 68 wheel. And the 6-piston Brembo caliper over the rotor is wider than the Goodyear tire that they ran in 68. So if you think about that, and Fred's heard the story, right? The race car drivers were probably substantially different type of athletes in the 60s than they are today, but definitely far crazier than what we are today, right? And that technology, allows us to do it.
Yeah, it is amazing, the technology. And Jim, I would ask, you've got such high horsepower here. People are taking to the drag strip, but there's no straight axle back there. This is has CV joints. How do they make those things live with all that horsepower and not blow up?
Yeah, so I mean, the technology that we've gotten to, especially if you think about the 0304 Terminator, right, was our first true version of an independent rear suspension, right? We bolted it up, took out the solid rear axle on the Terminator or the Cobra, sorry, the code names. They redesigned it to accommodate the solid rear axle. Well, this platform, the Gen 6, was developed with completely independent rear suspension. And the learnings that the engineers have been able to do to dial that in, including like how the axles, the independent rear suspension angles in, really allows that to continue to run, time after time, exactly what you want to run. And we're really, really happy with the durability that's come from it.
So no need to swap in a Ford 9-inch rear end into your brand new GT-500 Shelby.
Really no need. I'm a solid rear axle knuckle dragger myself, right? I love the old school stuff, but it's the equivalent of like playing with an old John McEnroe wooden tennis racket versus the Prince one today. Yeah, it's fun to sit there and have maybe and hang on your wall. But if you're going to go out there and want to play some serious tennis, you're going to grab the Prince, carbon fiber, computer strung tennis racket of today. And a lot of people thought that the 60s were that era of American muscle cars. I'd still tell you today is probably the best time to be a performance enthusiast of any manufacturer, let alone the stuff that the Ford performance engineers developed today.
Yeah, it is amazing, Les, when you think of it. And as part of my prep for this segment, Jim, we're speaking to Jim Owens, who has one of the best jobs at Ford. He is the Mustang marketing manager. I was surprised. You go in the configurator and you can just punch in the numbers, and really the number, while it's big, is not that big when you think about horsepower and what horsepower costs you.
Yeah, and it's still it didn't end at horsepower, right? Carroll made himself famous, well, first as the only human being on the planet to win as a manufacturer, a team owner, as a driver for Le Mans. But he made his hay on, with his merry band of hot rodders on the lateral performance, right? If you think of the old GT350 competition models, that won SCCA Production B the first 2 years it was out there. It wasn't just about delivering that horsepower. It was about delivering the ride and handling that could get you around the road courses of the time. And that GT500 today, with the calibration from the dual clutch transmission, the MagnaRide suspension, the 6-piston Brembo brakes, all of those things tied together with calibration that, is mapped to Billy Johnson's track times, allows a mere mortal like me to go out there and deliver the performance on a racetrack that we all want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Vehicles like this make really, really excellent drivers out of quite mediocre drivers. And because, the car is extremely forgiving and extremely stable, even though it's doing some outlandish things.
Yeah, and it's just the 350 that we ended production in the 20 model year its next 5-liter version, not the 5.2, the Mach 1, in the automatic or manual form, and then the Shelby GT-500 with the dual clutch. It engages you to begin to allow you to feel confident each lap, and then to take more out of the car each lap that you're doing it. It engenders that confidence that allows you to maximize your performance.
All right, well, Jim Owens, we will be right back. We'll talk more about the GT500, but also a new edition of the Mustang and Mustang Mach-E that you can get. Brings back memories of 1993. We'll be right back.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. I'm Fred Staub. The other voice you will hear is none other than Les Jackson, and we're joined by Jim Owens, who is Mustang Marketing Manager. We've been talking a lot about the Shelby GT-500, amazing vehicle that you can own, 760 horsepower. Like I said earlier in the segment, I was on the Ford website punching in the numbers, and less to think that a vehicle from the factory would allow you to have an optional set of carbon fiber wheels. I mean, who would have thought that would ever happen? But
because that's an incredible technology combined with expense.
yeah, but it's not all that expensive, and the look of those things and how, of course, it's unsprung weight. Getting rid of unsprung weight is a great thing. So those wheels are a thing of beauty, Jim. I tell you, they're just a beautiful thing. I would not want to rub one against a curb, though. That's for sure.
No, that's for sure. And you talk about the, unsprung and rotational mass, right? I'm the same age as the Mustang and in desperate need of a frame off, full rotisserie restoration, right? But the Mustang, when you're doing that, especially the Shelby, my best weight to lose is probably my midsection, right? The car's best weight to lose, as you said, is that unsprung rotational mass. And it saves more than 50 pounds on all four corners. So for a driver, like Billy Johnson, that is going to lap after lap take off substantial amount of time on the track, because that inertia and energy that is going to turn those wheels is substantially reduced. And then somebody who's a driver like me, it allows me to do different things that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do.
Yeah.
And it's using less fuel because it takes fuel to push all that weight.
Yeah, and it does, especially at 760 horsepower and a full load under the track, because legitimately you're going up to 7,000 plus RPMs in that car, still within the torque band and still pulling.
Wow.
So it's just an amazing vehicle, and for those who have an opportunity to drive it or take it on track, Carol always wanted those cars driven.
Yeah.
He didn't want them sitting there as a garage queen, and to have those engineered components like the carbon fiber wheels, with our partner Carbon Revolution out of Australia, who made the GT350R wheels, the Ford GT, the supercar Le Mans winning vehicle, that carbon wheel, and as well as the GT500. We also had a little one that we did a little small run this year in the 21 model year that was called the carbon fiber handling package, which had the painted carbon fiber